Hey everybody, welcome to Big Valley Living. My name is Michelle, and I'd like to welcome you to the 30 Days of Preparedness 2025. And I'd also like to thank all of my collaboration partners this month for some excellent videos that have already come out. We have 1 week left. And today I'm just going to talk to you about 3 essential skills that every adult should have, okay, in their wheelhouse. Number 1, know how to cook. If you only like simple foods, teach yourself or find some inspiration online or instructions online, or find yourself a cookbook at a used bookstore or maybe a thrift store, and teach yourself how to cook some very basic meals with very basic ingredients. So we've been talking about stocking pantries and things like that. At the very least, the items that you like, that you may have stocked in your pantry, know how to use them, know how to maybe use different spices to take the very same ingredients and give them different flavors. I'm going to give you an example of what I did for dinner today, and I didn't need a recipe, okay? This is just years of experience from cooking. And what I did is I took a head of cabbage. It wasn't a big one. I took 1 onion. I took about 6 good-sized carrots because I like carrots. I took a head of celery. That would be all the little stalks put together if you're not familiar with that. And a can of crushed tomatoes, a quart of prepared beef broth, and a little bit of water, salt, pepper, a bay leaf, and fresh garlic. Oh, can't forget fresh garlic. I put all those things together in a pot and I cooked them down for about 4 hours because we had some running around and appointments to go to. When I got home, I broke up some fresh green beans. I could have also taken a can of green beans, drained them, and thrown them in there. And I put in some sliced zucchini for more flavor. Super simple dinner. It's going to definitely carry me into a few different days from now. And then I'll freeze some for later in my super cubes and have soups that'll be ready to just heat up either on the stovetop or in the microwave. But it was super simple with very basic and inexpensive ingredients that I was able to pick up at the grocery store as well as at the farmer's market. This meal is going to turn into probably about 10 full meals, 10 full adult meals. Didn't cost me more than $12, okay? So that's a pretty darn good deal. And again, it was all just from knowing how to put basic ingredients together to cook and make myself not only one meal for my family, but for multiple meals in the future. Okay, so that's number 1. Know how to cook, at least have the basics down. Number 2, know how to use basic tools around the house. I'm not talking about like going in and changing out the pipes in your bathroom or anything like that, guys. Nothing like that. I'm talking about knowing how to use a flat blade screwdriver. In fact, know what it is. A Phillips screwdriver, that's the one with the little crisscross on it, and a hammer, and maybe a pair of needle nose pliers, and also, a knife, a utility knife. If those are the only tools that you have in your house, you would be surprised at all of the little things that you can fix by yourself. Imagine, you wake up in the middle of the night and you need to get into a drawer to grab a pair of socks. It's cold outside. It's cold in your bedroom. You need a pair of socks. It's dark. You pull the drawer open and a handle falls off, because it's been loose, but you haven't paid attention to it. Okay. Well, if you've got a screwdriver, all you got to do is open that drawer up either right now or first thing in the morning when you get up with your warm little tootsies, and go in on the back side and tighten it up. Super simple fix, But you'd be surprised at how many people have never even used a hand tool. I just recently read an article that astounded me that approximately 18% of young men between the ages of 18 and 30 had never used a hand tool. I find that to be really disturbing, to be honest with you. I had used hand tools before I turned 10 years old, and I didn't take any classes. It was just because we had things around the house, and I was excited to help my parents fix them. So learn how to use and identify some very basic tools. And even if you don't have a toolbox or you don't buy a tool kit that you can pick up online for, well, now they're about 40 or 50 bucks, I'm sorry to tell you. But get yourself at least a basic little set of hand tools, okay? And put them in a drawer and know where they are and know how to use them. You never know, you might want to hang a picture or something like that on your wall. That's where that little hammer is going to come in handy. You don't need a big 20-ouncer, just a little tiny hammer that'll help you get things done. So now we've got cooking basics, understanding cooking basics, understanding the basics of basic hand tools. Also, I don't recommend having drills that require batteries and things like that, especially if you're new at using tools, because quite frankly, half the time, just 8 or 9 twists with a screwdriver with your hand is going to do what you need to do with basic fix-its. The third thing that I think that every adult human being should know the basics of, and that is sewing. I'm not talking about getting a serger out and making a big, beautiful quilt or something like that requires years of practice and skills that many of us don't have. I'm talking about something like sewing a button back on or tightening a button on a shirt that you know is going to fall off the next time you put it through the loop. That type of thing. Very, very simple. For that, all you really need is a little spool of thread and a needle. And if your eyes are a little bit weak, maybe get a little threader that you can buy. These kits are available at the grocery store for about $3 to $5. You can go online and get a small basic sewing kit. Again, I'm not talking about having any skills for ornate sewing or creating outfits, just fixing what you have. My husband, every now and again, his shorts have buttons on them. And once in a while, the buttons will just fall off because the thread wore down because the shorts are 3 or 4 years old. Well, instead of going out and buying a new pair of shorts that are perfectly good for every other use, they just don't have a button, he can just go in, grab a needle and thread out of my sewing kit, put some thread in it, and he can do it himself. If he asks me, I might be nice and do it for him. But sewing a button onto a piece of clothing that you already have. Maybe you have a hem that's coming out, and all you really need to do is just take it on the back side and do a quick whip stitch. You can go online, you can Google how to do many, many repairs. My suggestion for preparedness might be to go online and Google how to do these things before you need to know how. Get some practice. Get a piece of old material. Get an old, like an old pillowcase or something like that, and grab some buttons. I actually have a little button collection in a couple of different jars, and they're all different sizes, colors, shapes, and everything else, because a lot of buttons are very basic. Get yourself a handful of buttons somewhere. Get yourself an old pillowcase. Get yourself a needle and thread and just practice on something so that when you do need to know how to do it, you know how. If you really want to get into something exciting, take a little time on YouTube and go find a channel that teaches you how to do the sewing basics. There are many, many different resources online to teach you how to do these things. And you can get your very basic kits. Like I said, you can go up to like a thrift store and you might be able to find somebody's grandpa's old Craftsman tools and or you might be able to get real lucky and find a small basic toolkit. But you can keep all of the stuff I'm talking about with the exception of the food. But you can keep the tools, and you can keep a little sewing kit in a small drawer in your house where you know where to find it. And it could save it might not save your life per se, but if you had to tighten something like a lock on your door, it could prevent something bad from happening to you. And it can also save an awful lot of money to know how to repair your own clothing and stretch the life of those outfits, or a blanket that may have a little tiny rip in it or something like that. If you can sew that up, you're going to save yourself money because you don't have to buy a new whatever it is that you just fixed. So I hope that this is helpful for everybody. Again, we appreciate you coming by the 30 Days of Preparedness 2025. Continue to watch the rest of the excellent collaborators for the next week. Please consider subscribing to their channels and making it a habit of watching them, because all of the channels invited this month have a lot of things to share with you. They're established YouTube channels that have a lot to teach you, and you could do well by understanding how to do some of the things that they teach you. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope that it's cooling off in your neck of the woods, because today is the first day of autumn and it was 97 degrees where I live. Not really what we were expecting or really wanted, but here we are. I'll see you later, everybody. Be kind.